We've all been there. You're standing in a museum, staring at a painting, and all you can think is, I don't get it. To me, knowing the story behind an artwork is a huge part of knowing how to look at it. I'm Amanda, the host of the Art of History podcast, where we view history through the lens of some really great works of art. Each episode, we dive deep into the bigger picture behind some familiar and maybe not so familiar pieces. Check out Art of History now wherever you get your podcasts.
Culture kids, welcome to our show. We are a family podcast dedicated to empowering a generation of kind and empathetic creators and citizens of the world. Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us again. We have so much exciting fresh content coming your way, and we can't wait to share them with you.
Hello. My name is Asher, and I'm your host along with my mom, Kristen. It's good to be back.
Today, we're going to hop on our culture train and head to a city here in the United States that is nicknamed to be the Windy City, but also known as Chicago. Before we jump into our culture train today, we want to share that this episode is dedicated to our listeners in Chicago, especially Ruby and Devin, and they wanted to share what they loved most about their city.
Hi, I'm Ruby. And I'm Devin. We love all the museums in Chicago because we love science.
Thank you, Ruby and Devin. We hope you enjoy this episode.
I've never been to Chicago, but Daddy's from there and lived there when he was little.
He did. Well, let's put on our winter coats and jump on our culture train to discover this magical city. Welcome to Chicago. This unique city is all about skyscrapers that reach the clouds, delicious deep dish pizza, and neighborhoods full of character. Take a walk by the beautiful Lake Michigan, enjoy boat rides on the Chicago River, and explore the vibrant scenes along the water. We just got here, and I can tell it's got a friendly vibe that makes you feel right at home.
Oh yeah, baby. Chicago, Chicago. The name sounds so cool. Let's learn about how it became such a cool city.
Good idea. Chicago's roots go way back when Native American communities, like the Potawatomi, lived in the area. They were the first to call this land home, relying on the resources of Lake Michigan and the surrounding area.
Then in the 1800s, people from far, far away, like the Europeans, came and set up a small trading post. It's like a spot for trading things.
Yes, Chicago was a great place for trading because it had a big lake and a river that made it easy for people to move things around on boats. These waterways helped connect Chicago to other places so people could trade goods like fur and wood.
And more people came to trade. Chicago grew into a big city.
However, Chicago experienced a big event known as the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. This fire destroyed much of the city, including many wooden structures.
But people in Chicago were really brave and creative, so they rebuilt the city even stronger.
That's right. They saw an opportunity for rebuilding with stronger materials like steel. This led to the rise of the iconic skyscrapers that define Chicago's skyline today.
Ooh. So how did it get its cool name, Chicago?
Another good question. The name Chicago is believed to have originated from the Potawatomi people, who are among the Native American communities in the region, as we just talked about. It comes from the Algonquin word Chicago, meaning wild onion.
Wild onion? Onions can be wild?
That's wackadoodle.
They're just onions.
Wild onion means that these onions were naturally growing in the area before it became a city.
Okay, wild onion.
But it's important to note that the origin of the name Chicago has several ideas. But in general, the most widely accepted explanation is connected to the Algonquin word Chicago, meaning wild onion.
But a lot of people call it the Windy City. Is it because it's so windy all the time?
The origins of Chicago's famous nickname are not entirely clear. But one idea is that a long time ago, Chicago was competing with other cities to host a big event called the World's Columbian Exposition. Some people from other cities thought Chicago was boasting a bit too much about how awesome the city was. They playfully said Chicago was the Windy City because it was a way of saying that people were talking a lot, just like the wind carries sounds through the air.
So it's a playful nickname. No, we say it with pride.
Yeah, but it is kind of windy here, though. I think the most obvious explanation is that it comes from the super cold wind that comes from Lake Michigan and sweeps through the city.
Yep.
This place reminds me of New York City, my hometown. It has so many skyscrapers. Let's go visit the tallest one.
The tallest building here is the Willis Tower. Imagine stacking about 14 school buses on top of each other. Wow! And there's also the John Hancock Center, which we believe is the second tallest skyscraper in the city.
It's as tall as stacking 11 giraffes on top of each other. Crazy. Remember, giraffes have super long necks.
That's a good comparison, Asher. But there's one big difference that makes Chicago so unique from lots of other cities.
What is it?
There are rivers flowing through the city.
The most famous one is the Chicago River.
Yes, the Chicago River flows through the heart of the city, winding its way between skyscrapers and neighborhoods. An interesting fact is that the river's direction was reversed in the early 20th century, making it flow away from Lake Michigan, a massive engineering project that helped solve pollution problems.
Oh, that's good, because Lake Michigan is the source of drinking water for the city.
Yep, and let me share my favorite part about the Chicago rivers. During St. Patrick's Day, the rivers through the city turn bright green. No way! For a few hours that day, the water sparkles in a vibrant emerald color. This tradition has been going on for decades and has been a famous and exciting way for the city of Chicago to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in a festive way.
That's awesome! Chicago people are so silly. And all these rivers connect to Lake Michigan, the big mama of lakes.
That's an interesting way to describe it. Lake Michigan also gives Chicago the beaches like North Avenue and Oak Street, and Navy Pier stretches into it, making the city even cooler.
Chicago really has everything. Big buildings, beaches, lakes, rivers. What a fun, unique place.
Now let's go and take a look at an iconic structure in Chicago called
The Giant Bee, but also known as the Cloud Gate.
Made by artist Anish Kapoor, it looks like a giant funhouse mirror you can walk around and touch.
Where you could see the city all around.
It has become a symbol of how unique and creative Chicago is. And you can even walk under it.
It's like a little cave. It looks like a super giant drop of melting silver.
Melting silver is a good way to describe it.
And now we're heading to Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field has been the beloved home of the Chicago Cubs since 1916, making it one of the oldest baseball stadiums in the country.
It is a very special stadium because instead of plain walls, it's covered in green ivy.
That's right. The ivy was planted in the 1930s, and during the baseball season, the ivy grows thicker and fuller, and the sight of baseballs getting stuck in the ivy during the games adds to the experience.
Ooh, that's so funny. My favorite part about the stadium is that they still use handheld scoreboards. It is not electronic. Wow.
I love that too. Unlike big electronic ones, it's operated by people who climb up a ladder to update the score and innings during the game, adding a special touch of tradition and fun for everyone watching.
So cool. And speaking of baseball, Chicago's other sports teams have a history of lots of wins and exciting victories.
Oh, you bet. Chicago boasts a rich sports culture with several major teams that have left a lasting impact. The Chicago Bulls, led by one and only basketball legend Michael Jordan, won 6 NBA championships in the 1990s, creating a basketball dynasty.
Dynasty, that's like a kingdom. Wowza.
Yup, and the Chicago Bears, a historic NFL team, won the Super Bowl back in 1985. The Chicago Blackhawks, which is a hockey team, won 3 Stanley Cup championships in a 6-year span, showcasing their power on the ice.
And of course, back to the Chicago Cubs, one of baseball's oldest teams, made history in 2016 by winning the World Series.
And there's also the Chicago White Sox, another Major League Baseball team who secured 3 World Series titles.
Go Chicago. Get it? Go Chicago. I'm getting hungry. What are some famous foods from Chicago we have to try?
I think most people would agree that Chicago is a food lover's paradise with a very diverse culinary scene. But, of course, the city's most famous dish is the deep dish pizza.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just your regular pizza. It's got a thick crust. Lots of cheese.
Yum, yum, yum.
Your favorite toppings. And topped with rich tomato sauce.
Oh yes, and it is baked in a deep pan.
Perfect.
This famous dish is associated with Chicago due to its origin in the city's Pizzeria Uno in the 1940s. Even though this pizza style has found fans worldwide, nothing beats the experience of eating it right where it was born.
So yummy. Let's explore one more place. The Navy Pier. So fun. Reminds me of a fair.
Certainly, Navy Pier is a famous attraction in Chicago located along the shoreline of Lake Michigan. You can ride a giant Ferris wheel, explore shops and restaurants, catch boat tours, and even visit the Chicago Children's Museum for some interactive fun. I think it's a must visit for visitors, offering a vibrant and lively atmosphere right by the water.
Navy Pier also has lots of fun events and sometimes fireworks. It's also a wonderful place to watch the sunset.
Yes, the vibrant colors of the sky blend with the city's iconic skyline and the serene waters of Lake Michigan. But another place to watch the sunset is the Chicago Riverwalk. It's a scenic pathway along the Chicago River, providing a unique urban experience with restaurants, parks, and public art installations.
Chicago has so much to do, but my favorite part is the baseball stadium. The baseballs get stuck in the ivy, so it's a home run.
My favorite part about Chicago is the blend of urban life with nature. The rivers, Lake Michigan, and the skyscrapers all come together to create the perfect mix of both urban and natural elements. And to our Culture Kids family, have you visited Chicago? If not, what do you think it might be like to visit there someday? You can also experience the rich culture of Chicago right in your own home. Maybe you can ask your grown-ups to try making a deep dish pizza, or even try building your own Willis Tower using blocks.
Many blocks.
You can also check out our Instagram page at Culture Kids Media to see a list of fun books you can check out at your local library to learn more about Chicago and its people.
Well, it's time to catch our culture train and come back home. Joke time.
Okay, you can go first.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Say.
Say who?
Who. How long do I have to say this?
Oh, I'm not sure how to respond to that. That's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Very cute. Okay, can I go?
Yeah.
Which is faster, heat or cold?
Heat.
Why?
Because heat goes up.
Well, yes. The answer is heat, but the reason is because you can catch a cold. Get it? When you catch a cold, like you're sick?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of 2024. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we have lots of new exciting content coming up. And if you are an educator looking to see how your students can get involved with Culture Kids, email us at hello@culturekidsmedia.com. We always love hearing from you.
And tell everyone you love about Culture Kids.
Until next week.
Bye-bye.